Hi guys, I hope you're all doing great. Welcome back to my channel. It's Jane once again and thank you for tuning in. Today's video is a spotlight on the Hermes Parfums-JARDIN Collection. This collection is inspired by water and gardens, a journey through watery landscapes. I have the 6 fragrances they came out with so far, all unisex targeted and an eau de toilette concentration. And in this video, I'm going to zero in on each one in order of least preferred to best one, based off my personal taste, of course. But before we get right to the fragrances, if you're new here and you enjoy fragrance-related content and would like to see more, make sure you subscribe to the channel before leaving this video and don't forget to click on notifications so you never miss a new video in the future. Also, please give me a big thumbs up so I know you enjoyed my content. And without further ado, I give you the Hermes Gardens fragrances. 2 I have in full 50 ml bottles, and these 4 mini coffrets I have purchased in a set from Sephora. This is the box they came in, and this I believe retails for $55 US. The nose behind the earlier releases was Jean-Claude Elena. The newer ones were created by Christy Nagel. Now all of these fragrances are fairly easy to like, particularly for noses attuned to fresher offerings like us living in the tropics. These are light and watery and fresh with green, grassy undertones, great for tropical climate and warm weather seasons. If you're a fan of those types of fragrances, then any one of these could be for you. If you're a fan of this line, do list down your favorites in the comment section down below. And so for this list, I will start from my least favorite, and it is Jardin Sur La Lagune. Are you surprised by my choice? I've heard a lot of people liking this fragrance so much. Sadly, this landed on my number 6 spot. The inspiration for this fragrance is a secret garden that an English lord built on the water inside the lagoon in Venice, which turned out to be an actual garden called Jardin Eden in Venice. This was released in 2019. Notes on this are magnolia, pittosporum, madonna lily, sea breeze, samphire, and woody notes. You imagine a light floral scent on a bed of salty, marine, aquatic, and woody undertones. I think that this is the most feminine leaning among the 6. The salty quality very much stands out to me. The woody notes, not much to my nose. The florals are light, airy, and fresh. Definitely white floral, possibly with some hedione and perhaps some iris because of a very strong powdery floral facet of this fragrance. On me, this pulls very powdery in a makeup-y, cosmetic sort of way, which I am not too keen on, hence landing the number 6 spot. I simply do not care for this at all. I have worn this when it's a bit cooler in January and again last week when it was ultimately hot and humid. Same experience, this isn't for me at all. But I can imagine a lot of women enjoying this scent. I have not smelled anything super similar to this before. A lot of my salty white floral perfumes hardly pull too powdery on me. Great everyday perfume for warmer seasons, something that will go well with a flowy dress. I can see this as a brunch out with a girl's kind of fragrance as well. This is long lasting on my skin and this won't leave your clothes till the next day. Projection is at least moderate when newly sprayed. My number 6, Jardin Sur La Lagune. Next up is Le Jardin De Monsieur Li. Next to powdery notes, I also do not fancy citrus-forward fragrances much. Le Jardin De Monsieur Li is reportedly inspired by Chinese gardens. Notes on these are jasmine, sambac, kumquat, and bergamot with a sprinkling of mint and green sap. This was launched in 2015 and is said to be one of the last few fragrances that Jean-Claude Elena created for Hermes. Possibly the softest fragrance in this line, this opens with an aromatic citrus punch closer to mandarin orange than say kumquat or bergamot. It has a green vegetal undertone which isn't cool or minty at all, simply leafy green but nothing leaning herbally. This facet is quite fleeting, very momentary, as this heralds a very light, soft, clean jasmine, a little powdery but very clean. No indolic touches at all. It is very light that you'd think you're probably smelling something like lotus flower. This fragrance is inspired by Chinese gardens after all. There's supposed to be a wet stones accord, but I don't get any of that in here. The citrus and leafy green are hardly there at all at this stage of the composition. The longer you put your nose on this, the softer and fainter it becomes. And so my real issue with this perfume is actually the lack of presence and staying power. It very quickly fades into a mere echo or a memory. But I definitely enjoyed the fragrance while it lasted. Lasting power under 2 hours in this weather. Projection is soft, sits close to skin even when newly sprayed. On my number 5 spot is Le Jardin De Monsieur Li. Number 4 is Jardin En Mediterranee, launched in 2003 and inspired by a Tunisian garden owned by then the director of displays for Hermes. This fragrance centers on the theme of a fig tree in the morning and Mediterranean citrus. On me, this skips the citrus phase entirely and goes on to become a fig fragrance. It's the leaves and twigs and stems and sap of the fig and comes across very green and herbally, likely sweetened with a very woody undertone. I know the notes look different, but this reminds me so much of Zara Energetically New York, which smells like a sweeter, airier, more feminine Santal 33 from Le Labo. This will remind you of the smell of twigs and sap and leaf in Santal 33, but the sweetened version of it like in Zara's Energetically New York. This is one of the older, if not the oldest, fragrances in this line. This is very long-lasting on me, sprayed in the morning, top up a few sprays midday, and this lasted me until sundown with fairly good projection still. The trail is compliment-getting and the deep dry down is a light mask and very soothing to my nose. I do not smell anything nutty pistachio in this composition. I think this has pistachio notes listed in the notes. Perhaps it's there to add a bit of depth or dimension, because this fragrance, although linear on me, is not flat or boring or simplistic. This is a joy to wear every day. An easy grab and go type perfume, leans a little feminine to my nose. If you love fresh green fig in fragrances, not the milky coconutty one, this you have to try. I do not own a fig-centric perfume in my collection yet, and this is in my wish list and on the number 4 spot. Jardin En Mediterranee. And we are down to my top 3. On the number 3 spot is, can you guess? Jardin Apres à la Mousson in the full bottle. I was not able to acquire a little sample of this, but I sprayed this once in store and I'm convinced that I needed a full bottle. I purchased this 50 ml from fragrancex.com. If you'd like to know how, I will leave a link to my video on FragranceX down in the description below. Our local Hermes counter only carries the 100 ml bottle, which I don't think I need. Now, going back to this perfume, this fragrance was released in 2008 and was inspired by Kerala, India, after a monsoon rain. Kerala, by the way, I've been to. It is a coastal state in the southern part of India. Climate is tropical, and apart from the famous fish nets of Cochin, they have lots and lots of tea and spice gardens and plantations in the area, such that this fragrance will captivate you in the opening with a combination of lovely, warm, and fresh spices such as ginger, cardamom, coriander, and pepper. And this smells very earthy, perhaps owing to vetiver. You smell damp earth, plus the smell of wet vegetation and tree trunks after a rain. And then there's fruits, watery ones like watermelons, melons, winter melon, and the like, saying goodbye to the stark, spicy opening to give way to a subdued, sweeter, and fresher, more aquatic dry down. This is my number 3 because although I was definitely wowed by the opening, the dry down was nothing too special. In stark contrast to my number 2, where the opening was meh, but will quickly turn your world around in the dry down. Jardin Apres la Mousson is my number 3. So there's 2 left, and my top 2 would have to be Jardin Sur Le Nil. What attracted me most to this perfume is the presence of the green mango note. I love the mango note in perfumes, and this is totally in my radar. This fragrance is inspired by the garden islands of Nile at Aswan and credit the notes of green mango, lotus blossom, rush blend with incense, and sycamore wood. This fragrance is one of the older ones in this line, having been released in 2005, and quite possibly the most interesting composition-wise. This opens very bright and fizzy with the tartness of citruses, mainly grapefruit to my nose, admixed with the lip-puckering acidity of green mangoes, clearing and prepping your olfactory appliance to give way to the ever so lovely heart and base of this perfume. For me, the magic happens once the top notes are gone. You are left with still a green smelling yet warm, comforting, sweet, maybe ambery smelling perfume with a dash of spice. Something in here is reminiscent of warm, peppery spices, yet still very fresh. Watery yet dry, and sheer yet deep. I am in awe of this composition, and I love that this develops and does not remain linear like any other citrus aromatic perfume. This scent carries a wonderful sillage that's noticeable and a compliment magnet, and the notes shine through in the heat and humidity. This is fairly average longevity on me, about 5 to 6 hours, projection strongest when newly sprayed. So my number 2 is Jardin Sur Le Nil. Totally full bottle worthy. And my top favorite would have to be Jardin Sur Le Toit. Were you able to guess this to be my top 1? So this fragrance smells so good on me and lasts me an entire day when oversprayed. I discovered this perfume while reviewing Bea Alonso's perfume favorites, and after finishing up my decant, I knew I had to get me a bottle. I wear this on particularly hot, humid days when I'm not up for anything citrusy or soapy or marine smelling. This is my go-to. I feel like I will repurchase this for as long as they make this one. The garden inspiration for this fragrance is the rooftop garden at the Hermes headquarters in Paris. This has notes of apple, pear, rose, green grass, basil, magnolia, and compost. This is an evocative scent. The opening truly smells of freshly cut grass on a hot day with an herb garden nearby where basil is grown on organic soil. That's how they smell like in the opening. And then the fruits come in, and this fragrance becomes sweeter as they dry down. You'd get juicy apples and pears, some florals, but a quiet, serene type of florals. The lingering scent on skin is that fruity sweetness. This is very fresh and clean smelling, great for daytime outdoors. This smell of the outdoors. I find this interesting to wear on a casual day out or as an everyday scent. It is nothing too familiar or overly unique, but it's special just the same. This lean feminine, especially in the dry down. I don't think this is for everyone though. This could be quite polarizing or challenging for some. I have a dear friend who abhors this scent, but what can I do? This smells amazing on me. So sample this on skin, not just on paper, as I find some green fragrances could turn a bad dried hay scent once worn on skin sometimes. My number 1, Jardin Sur Le Toit. So I hope you liked this video and found it useful to decide on your next garden fragrance from Hermes. Again, these are all pretty mass appealing, easy to wear perfumes. Your pick will likely depend on the type of perfume you vibe with from among the 6 Jardin perfumes. As always, sample this on skin. I find that none of these are blind buy safe. Thank you again for watching, and thank you for making it this far. Please don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure to hit the bell icon to be notified of future videos. Take care you all, smell your absolute best, stay well hydrated if you live somewhere in the tropics, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!